The category is live, work, pose.
What's going on, everybody? How y'all doing today? Grand Rising, good evening. So today I'm doing a review on Pose, Season 1, Episode 4, entitled The Fever. Candy Abundance becomes fixated on adding curves to her slim body. Damon develops worrying symptoms. Elektra must choose between her man and surgery. So this episode for me was very emotional, and it took me a few days to really get the courage to do my review. And I like to be not so emotional when I have an opinion or react to something. So it starts off with Candy Abundance competing in a ball, and basically Elektra's mean butt was like, you look cheap, you're not cute, I'm that bitch, you look cheap, you're skinny, you're never gonna make it. And like, my whole thing is this: if we support each other, why in the world why do we have to put people down? So Damien's dancing at school, and all of a sudden he starts throwing up, and he has a fever. So Blanca's like, are you having sex with Ricky? I don't want to talk about it. Well, I want to know. And are you using protection? He's like, I don't want to explain. So after him throwing up in class, his teacher's like, you need to get some rest. So then in his mind, he's like, I don't know about this. And then he's like, well, Ricky, do you have HIV and stuff? And he's like, I don't. He didn't answer the question. You know how you ask somebody a question and they literally do not be direct? He's like, well, it's not funny. We need to know. So then Angel goes with Candy to meet a lady who's doing illegal plastic surgery from her home. Her prices are $1,000. She shows the lady's pictures, and then she's like, okay, I'll start. She's like, well, I need the money. And she's like, this isn't charity, you know. Anybody's work. You can't expect layaway or whatever the case may be. So then somehow they find another person who does the same thing for half the price. And they're asking questions, obviously the first time with the first woman and the next woman. And then all of a sudden they're like, well, how does this procedure go? What is in it? Why are you cheaper than the other lady? And then the person's like, well, I get the same stuff for pennies, but I add my own little spin to it. First of all, ladies and gentlemen, if you're ever going to have plastic surgery, you need to make sure that your doctor is on a certified website. And if you're doing surgery from a basement or a home, please don't do that, because you will die. This is no joke. I know I was looking at a story like 7-8 months ago where this woman went to Mexico to get her surgery done. Whatever they put in it didn't react to her body. She started going into cardiac arrest. And then the doctor and the staff just left her to die. And even if you go to like Dr. Miami or some credible doctors, there's a chance your body could reject it and you could die. Let's just be real. So, Damien's really, really sick and everything. And, Angel's talking with Stan. And things seem to be going well. And then she was like, well, why do you choose me? Because I believe the episode before, he's like, my wife has childbearing hips, so she's like kind of thick. And then Angel's like, well, do you just want that? Why do you want me? So Stan explains that when he was in his younger days, he went to like a sexy adult shop and he saw like a transgender person and he got aroused. Well, on the cover, and in no way do I mean to be rude, it says she-male on there. I don't mean to disrespect anybody. So she's like, I'm just a figure in a porno magazine. Get out, get out. So then Candy decides to get her butt injections done by that person who charges half the price of the other lady. So she goes and does her little strut and wins. And then all of a sudden, before that, she starts feeling really, really hot and she passes out. And then Elektra was like, you ain't nothing, stupid, and blah, 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 blah. And she was going to hit her. Then they was like, don't do that. Then she's like, whatever, I freaking quit. I'm tired of you talking to me like that, B. And then she ends up going back to the house to get some rest. And then Elektra is like, why didn't you come through me? I could have given you a surgeon who was real and blah, 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 blah. And then Candy's like, well, you'll never understand what it's like for people like me. You have money, but you don't really know how it is to struggle. So then Elektra gets the money for her surgery, but then speaks to her her man and was like, yeah, I want to have this surgery done. You know, we've been together 10 years or whatever. I want to get my stuff removed or whatever the case may be. And he's like, no, I like you for you. You don't have to get this done. And he's like, I've given you a good life. I don't know, but I like that your penis is there. And then back to Stan and Angel, they get into an argument. She's like, and I touched your penis. He's like, you know, I hate that. And she's like, yeah, so I'm just a figure from a porno magazine. Get out my house. So then Blanca and her friend get to talking. I was like, I hope Damien doesn't have the disease or whatever. And so then the friend who DJs the balls says, okay, gentlemen, we're gonna go get STD checks. Everybody passes except him. And he really is freaking out. He's crying, but then he tells the boys, I don't have it. He lies, and then finally he tells Blanca that he's HIV positive. They cry, and then they sit to see Damien dance, because what happened was he wanted to dance with his senior class, and the teacher's like, well, you're a freshman, I don't know if you're ready, and he made it. So that's how it ends. I would tell everybody to make sure every 6 months you get STD checked, that you're wearing condoms, and that you're protecting yourself, because even with a sexual exchange, you could get coronavirus and all type of stuff. Be safe. Alrighty, so I'm going to read from Vulture.com by Brian Whalen. He does a recap of Pose, so let's get it started. Candy Abundance, the Tugly Queen with the Whitney Houston haircut, has a problem. She doesn't think she's curvilicious. Oh my god, I dropped the phone. I have a problem too, and it's that no one thinks that Candy Abundance is curvilicious enough. It starts with both Pray Tell and Elektra, who tells her that she's not voluptuous enough to walk the luscious Femi Body Queen category. Pray tells that it's not the face category. Oh, that's his name. Pray. Okay. She usually wins and she needs an ass and tits to compete here. I think the ball scene has a category for every type of person so that they can feel special and accomplished, but Candy didn't even feel inadequate until Pray Tell and a whole ballroom full of queens made fun of her when she tried to compete with the girls with the milkshakes, bring all the boys to the yard. The whole episode, Candy is searching for acceptance and by being bigger and whines to everyone who will listen that her life is hard because she's ugly and she can't pass. Every time she opens up to someone, Angel and Elektra mostly, they tell her that they have their own pains too. I think the right way to console her, but at no point does anyone say, but you're beautiful and you can pass. You don't need hips because you have face, girl, and that is the category that everyone really wants to win. While the ballroom scene is the only outlet that many of these people have for expressing themselves and feeling vulnerable, it also seems to be building Candy's insecurities until she ends up in some busted basement getting injections from someone who gets their silicone from Honduras and has a face that looks like Kim Jong-un Halloween mask left out in the sun. Sally, this is something that is all too real even today. Just last year, an unlicensed proctor was sentenced to 10 years in prison for killing a trans woman by injecting her with fixated. I want to tell Candy and Angel, who ends up in this shady situation, to run and save themselves, that they should know better than to trust someone who says you have to move it around before it hardens, before injecting them. But neither of them have the means or access to afford to do this right and to get their bodies that they envy for themselves. Naturally, it doesn't end well for Candy, who backside ends up looking like half a dozen lined up eggs in the refrigerator. Angel ends up getting the same injection too, but her path that is a lot more curious and doesn't intentionally seem to make much sense. She was talking to Stan, and he mentioned that his wife is curvy, especially after she had the kids. Angel somehow thinks that means she needs to be curvy too. After doing some consultation with the seemingly more legitimate black market doctor, she decides her body is good just the way it is. That one night stand can't get hard while they're playing around. She thinks it's because she's not beautiful enough. She decides that Stan has to tell his story about why he wants her and come to the pier looking especially for trans women to hire. He tells her repeatedly that he just wants her, but when she presses him, getting more and more hysterical, he finally tells her the first time he went into a porn store, he saw a magazine called The Shima, the pre-enlightening 80s, and that's really turned him on. Angel twists that into thinking that Stan sees her as nothing but a pornographic fantasy. There's nothing he can say to defend himself. Even he is flummoxed as to why Angel has seemingly turned on him and kicks him out of the apartment. This is what leads a depressed Angel to seek solace on the other side of the needle. Just like Stan, Angel freakout seems completely illogical to me. But the more I thought about it, the more it makes sense. Here is a person who has never felt comfortable in her body and has always been told by society that she's ugly and a freak. It's going to take a whole lot more than love of one good man to overwrite all of the negative messaging that has been hardwired into her brain. She's not reacting to Stan so much as she reacts to everything that will happen in her whole life. Things end a lot better for Elektra, particularly because we find out that she's been having sex with a gold-plated, card-carrying zaddy, Michael Maloney, from the better part of a decade. I think that the first synopsis orgasm I had ever had was while watching his gay shower scene on Oz. Then he was a danger to tight shirtless everywhere during his internal stint on Law and Order SUV. Now here he is looking as damn fine as ever and causing not a quite a spontaneous orgasm, but a stringing in the pants. He plays Elektra's sugar daddy, but when she breaks the news to him that she wants to have her gender confirmation surgery, he says that he doesn't want no part of that. He says he doesn't know why he likes her dick in the room while they're getting it on, but he does. So if she doesn't keep it, then he will stop supporting him. Elektra violates a few times since she's always had a man by her side to help her in life. Eventually, she decides that no man is worth robbing her of her freedom. As a woman who has had the procedure says, looking down between your legs and seeing nothing there. It is all a whole lot for one episode. I am once again going to raise my complaint that these episodes are overstuffed and dragging on way too long. There is also a subplot about Damon getting sick and Blanca and the rest of the crew worrying about contracting HIV by having unprotected sex with former sex worker Ricky. Blanca convinces Pray Tell to take the kids down to the clinic and get tested so they at least know their status. They have to wait 2 weeks for the results. 2 weeks. Can you imagine? When I go get my tests every 3 months, pre-ep, it's a hell of a drug. I only had to wait a day, and still the longest day of each quarter, while all the way I could have gotten infected even under the chemical shield of pre-ep going racing through my mind. Imagine 14 days of that. Horrible. It turns out that everyone is negative except Pray Tell, who contracted the virus and lies to everyone except Blanca about it. While the show definitely has its fair share of flaws, this is what is so good about it. It's perfectly encapsulated by the joy and pain of this stage of the LGBT civil rights movement, just as everyone is living under the threat of the plague, advancement in surgery, and the rights are also starting to come along slowly but steady. It's good news for some and bad for some, but everyone would be a lot better off if we could tell everyone, particularly Kenny, that there's beauty just the way you are. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Have a wonderful day.